I texted my son, just got discharged from the hospital, doctor said I can't walk yet, can you pick me up when you have time? He replied, my wife said we can't keep dropping everything for you every time. Just call an Uber. When they found out who picked me up. Just got discharged from the hospital. Doctor said, I can't walk yet. Can you pick me up when you have time? I sent the text to my son Michael, while the nurse wheeled me toward the exit. His response came back faster than I'd hoped. My wife said, we can't keep dropping everything for you every time. Just call an Uber. When they found out who picked me up instead, it would change their lives for the worst. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Let me back up and tell you how a simple phone call became the most satisfying revenge I never knew I needed. My name is Dorothy Parker. To most people, and at 65 I thought I'd seen every flavor of family disappointment. I was wrong. 3 days earlier, I'd been rushed to Phoenix General with what felt like someone taking a blowtorch to my gallbladder emergency surgery. They said, nothing too serious, but recovery would take weeks. The whole time I was in that hospital bed watching terrible daytime TV and eating food that tasted like cardboard. I kept expecting Michael to visit, maybe bring the grandkids. Sarah, my daughter-in-law, had been so concerned when I called about the pain. Oh my goodness, that you need to get to the hospital right away. She'd said, her voice dripping with what I thought was genuine worry, Michael and I will meet you there. They never showed for 3 days. I told myself they were busy. Michael's insurance business was demanding, and Sarah had her hands full with the kids. I made excuses like I'd been doing for the past 2 years, ever since they'd moved into that oversized house they couldn't quite afford. But sitting in the hospital wheelchair, staring at Michael's text message, something inside me finally snapped, not broken, clarified, like suddenly putting on reading glasses and seeing the fine print you'd been missing all along. I called a cab instead of Uber, seemed more reliable for a post-surgery ride. 20 minutes later, a well-dressed man in his early 60s approached my wheelchair, not my cab driver, Mrs. Dorothy Parker. His voice was warm, but professional. My name is Robert Hamilton. I'm from Regional Southwest Financial and we need to talk. I should have been alarmed. Instead, I found myself oddly calm. Maybe it was the pain medication, or maybe I was just too emotionally drained to care anymore. If this is about Michael's mortgage. Mr. Hamilton, I'm afraid I'm not in a position to help right now. His expression shifted to something resembling surprise. Actually, Mrs. Parker, I think you'll find it's quite the opposite. I don't understand, I said as Robert Hamilton helped me into his car, a modest Toyota that screamed responsible bank employee, rather than flashy wealth. Are you here in some official capacity? I'm a regional manager at the bank that holds your son's mortgage. Robert said, starting the engine, and over the past several months, Michael has been telling us some very interesting stories about his family's situation. My blood chilled. What kind of stories? Stories about supporting his elderly mother through extensive medical expenses, claims that you've been a significant financial burden due to progressive health issues. Robert glanced at me as we stopped at a red light. According to Michael, you've been unable to care for yourself and have been draining his resources. I stared at him in disbelief. That's completely untrue. I know his voice was gentle but firm, because I've been investigating his hardship application for loan modification. Your son has provided documentation claiming that monthly payments to you for medical care and assisted living considerations are why he's fallen behind on his mortgage payments to me. My voice came out as a squeak as I accept the bank statements he provided show payments from you to him consistently for over 2 years. Robert pulled into a small park and cut the engine. Mrs. Parker, your son has been using your generosity as evidence of his hardship while actually defaulting on a loan. You don't even know you're responsible for the world tilted sideways, responsible for you co-signed Michael's mortgage application 2 years ago. He told you it was just a character reference, didn't he? Robert's expression was sympathetic, but you actually signed as a co-borrower. If he defaults, you're equally liable for the debt. I closed my eyes remembering that day at the bank. Michael had been so excited, so grateful for my help. He'd rushed me through the paperwork, explaining that the bank just needed someone to vouch for him. I'd been proud to help my son achieve home ownership. How much? I whispered. Current balance is $344,000 with late fees and penalties. I opened my eyes to find Robert studying me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Mr. Hamilton, why are you telling me this personally? Isn't this something that should be handled through official channels? Something flickered across his face, an emotion. I couldn't identify because fraud cases involving elder abuse deserve personal attention, and because he paused, seeming to struggle with his words, because something about your name seemed familiar, and I wanted to meet you myself. Familiar? How? Robert was quiet for a long moment, staring out at families playing in the park. Mrs. Parker, what was your maiden name? Sullivan? I answered automatically. Dorothy. Sullivan, why? The change in his expression was immediate and profound. Color drained from his face and his hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles went white. Bobby, I whispered, the impossible recognition hitting me like lightning. Hello? Robert's voice was barely audible. Voice, I've been looking for you for 45 years. The summer of 1980 crashed over me like a tidal wave. Bobby Hamilton, half Irish, half Italian, With dreams of changing the world and promises that stretched beyond the horizons of our small Ohio town, the boy I was supposed to meet at Union Station, the man I'd planned to marry, you changed your name. I managed. Hamilton was my stepfather's name. I started using it after he swallowed hard. After you didn't show up that morning, I did show up. Tears were streaming down my face now. I waited for 3 days. My parents told me you'd gotten the job in San Francisco and decided you didn't want a small-town girl holding you back. Robert turned to face me fully, his eyes bright with unshed tears. Your father came to see me in Cleveland, 6 months later, told me you'd married someone else, that you were pregnant with another man's child, said you wanted me to leave you alone. They lied. The words came out broken. They lied to both of us. 45 years, Robert said softly, 45 years of wondering what I did wrong, what I could have said differently. I reached across the console and took his hand, the same gentle hands that used to hold mine during those long walks by the lake.